Hello there, welcome to the Wall of Weird podcast. I nearly said Brian Lomax, maybe talk. Welcome to the Wall of Weird podcast, the Smallville podcast that is all about Superman and Lois. It's the last episode of Superman and Lois season 1 that has aired just a couple of nights ago. It is called The Last Sons of Krypton. And as usual, we are here to spoil the crap out of it. So if you intend on seeing it yet, then go and do that before listening to us jabber on. You have been warned. So just a little quick one, because we didn't actually review the episode prior to this. Life just got in the way. Last two? Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
life.
Okay.
It finds a way.
I didn't realise it was 2. Okay, so as it's 2, I'll leave it. I was going to say, what were your overall thoughts of the last one? But if it means having to get into 2, I'll leave it there. But yeah, we couldn't not do the last episode of the season, but we may talk a little bit about the one prior to this as well at some point. But yeah, as usual, we've got some cards just to help us kind of stay on topic so we don't turn into an hour and a half behemoth. And the first of those cards is this one, which is the Cushings to the rescue. So yes. At the end of the previous episode, Morgan Edge, now the Eradicator, has just run General Lane and the 2 boys off the road. They're in a bit of a banged up condition, and daughter, who I can never remember the name of, has gone home to get mum and dad
Sarah.
to come and help. Yeah. Because don't call the police, don't call the fire brigade, don't call the
Why
ambulance.
would you do that?
Yeah, run home
get your dad.
and get your mum and dad. Yeah.
How come Jonathan didn't call? No, actually, Clark did show up there. I don't know why you didn't take them to the hospital, but okay.
Well, it's because Jordan was taken, and then that sheer panic set in with Clark. But
even after he went back to Lois and said, "I can't find him," blah blah blah.
I'll give you that. I get why in the heat of that moment he didn't just take them to the hospital, but I'll give you later. Yeah.
Yep.
Actually, it's just shocking that he didn't say run home and call the police, But that scene was still good. I enjoyed it. I mean, it's interesting because the way that second episode ended, and Sarah was there when they were talking about the thing that calls Superman. She's like, the what? And, like those little moments, I was like, are you going to build to another big reveal here? Are the Cushings going to find out Clark is Superman in the finale?
At some point. I know. I was wondering if they didn't even mention it, which I was surprised.
In this episode as well, where things are coming together for Sarah, but we'll get onto that later.
Yeah. Do you think Jordan and Jonathan? Do you think Jordan and Jonathan don't bother carrying a mobile phone because they've got the little beeper to call the dad?
Or maybe Clark though and Lois are really overprotective, and maybe the kids can't have a phone until they're 18. I don't know.
Sure
we've seen them texting on the phones before.
That's a good point.
Well, that's what I mean. So it's like, so with General Lane, the 2 Kent boys, and Sarah, all in that car, not one of them's got a mobile phone. Sarah, run home and get a couple of people who, quite frankly...
Initially, I liked this scene and the ending. Like, it was intense. It was awesome. And now you're poking holes in something that I really, really enjoyed.
You thought Sam
no
would have phoned his,
there's no
the army or someone as well.
That's what I'm going to say, because the ELT, as soon as that happened, I said, if it was a watch, that wouldn't have happened.
That is true, because somehow he lost it out the window. I don't know where Grandpa's was.
Well, the truck rolled.
Well, it did tip over.
Yeah, but the truck rolled. But
where was Grandpa's? I don't know.
Exactly. And they explain what happened to Jonathan's. They didn't explain what happened to Jordan's, or is Jonathan the one that carries the ELT?
They switched. Why there's only one between the 2 of them? Another.
Yeah, I don't get that. And between the 2 of them, you need to probably give it to Jordan, because he might hiccup and burn everything down. So it would be good for him to have the ELT.
I think Clark's just saying, like, I'm not going to give you both on, because if you both press it at the same time, I can't do the whole Sophie's Choice thing. You screwed. So, yeah, it's one between the two of you. Fight amongst yourselves who gets it. But I think possibly it's because they were dropping Sarah off and they were right near by her house by that point, which is why it was probably just easier to say, go get your mum and dad. So, yeah.
Aren't we normally the ones that poke holes, and Nicole's usually the one who does what you just did and tries to, fix that?
Yes.
Plus, Kyle just happened to have a couple of, slings in his truck as well, in his car.
Well, he's a firefighter.
Well, he is a fireman. Yeah, it's
he had a first aid kit in his home.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
I really liked, by the end of the season, we'll talk more about it later, but just to strike the mood as we get to it, I love what they did with Lana and Kyle by the end of this episode. Like, they are such a great couple, and I never thought I'd watch a Superman thing and say, I like Lana.
You had to go there. You just had to go there.
Every time. Hashtag Lana drama. It's got to come up every time.
Okay. Second point. Eradicated. That is... So, I don't know how close to the comic books the Eradicator in this show is, but I can say that of the few issues of Superman comic books that I've read with the comic book version in it, I never quite understood why he was called the Eradicator.
Yeah.
Because his mission is actually to preserve all things Krypton.
Yeah.
So, but this, like, in this episode, it does give a completely good reason as to why he is called the Eradicator. He eradicates us for the sake of preserving Krypton. So, yeah.
The only comic I even know him from is the one where Superman comes back from the dead. And
yes.
I feel like that's the most I know him from. And he's described so vaguely that I can't quite figure out who or what he is. So I don't know whether this is super comic book accurate or not, what they did with the Eradicator, but I loved it because it wasn't vague. Like, I understood that it was a machine eradicating human consciousness or planting it with Kryptonian consciousness. And even though it was kind of weird how Morgan became the Eradicator, I at least still understood it, like, solidly. Like, oh, you're the Eradicator now. So, like, I really liked it. And my wife said that too. She goes, I really like that this is Clark at a new phase in his life, but it's also a villain I've never seen before. So instead of constantly going back to Zod and Parasite and a lot of those familiar Superman wells, like, this was a brand new villain, and I think a brand new take on that villain.
Yeah, I liked it.
Although I wasn't I don't know why, I wasn't very compelled by the Jordan, who was
being taken over.
I forget,
I think it's because I thought it was pretty interesting, but I think it's kind of awkward because you have this little teenage kid and then that old dude's voice comes out of him.
And it's never in sync. Have you noticed the lip syncing was slightly off?
Yeah, it was. And so it kind of takes you out of it a little bit. And so that's something that I loved the idea. So, like, I'm 100% behind the idea, and it makes sense. Like, this would be Zeta Rose. Is that how you say his name? Well, this is Zeta's revenge against the House of El. Like, he has taken over the son of Kal-El, and to manipulate the weak human mind, to take over the untapped Kryptonian strength, and to really stick it to Jor-El. It's like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think it was a great plot point to carry this finale forward. But I agree with you, Nicole. Like, there was something about it that you're watching it, and it's like, that is kind of off.
And I know
I thought that it was a slightly...
But he didn't seem to put up much of a defence of being taken over. He seemed to get eradicated pretty quick.
Yeah, but he's a kid, and I think maybe his will and his consciousness wouldn't be as strong as like Clark with all that he's been through. Like, I think his will and his mind has been sharpened throughout the years, and even he almost couldn't get Zod out. Like,
plus Zeta Row also preys on his insecurities of not being his dad, of not being as powerful, and always cocking things up and stuff. So, I mean, and they do address that at one point in the episode where, when Lois goes to into his mind and stuff. So
that was a great scene. Yeah,
I think what I liked is, okay, so go back to 1978 Superman the movie, And you have that scene where Jonathan dies of the heart attack. And you have Clark saying all of these powers and all these abilities, and I couldn't save him. And I feel like you get that same helpless moment in this episode because I guess that nuclear power plant is all lined with lead. But when Clark couldn't see or hear Jonathan and couldn't find where the Eradicator had taken him, and that moment of helplessness, like when he lands in front of Lois and he says, I can't find him. And they just sort of cry and hold each other. Like that was powerful. And it was also powerful when you see Clark, and I loved it because you really got to see what his speed is like, and it looked good as he's flying all over the earth. And so one moment he's in Rome, another place he's somewhere else, and then quickly he's in space. But that moment where he just gets into space and he's so desperate and he screams at the top of his lungs where there is no atmosphere and nothing to carry his voice, but let's pretend. And he screams Jordan at the top of his lungs. Like the emotion of that, though, was so good. It was the second watch that I got more into the emotion of that. Not so much the first time I watched it, but I thought that was so well done because it just, to me, rang true of Superman 1978, that all these powers and I couldn't save him. Like all these powers, and he's having trouble finding his son, and he's feeling very powerless.
Still in the upper atmosphere.
Yeah,
I'll go with that. I'll go with that. It works.
That's what I would have said.
It just looked very spacey.
I thought that was a great moment, and he kind of did get to Jordan a little bit. Although I don't know if that was more of a bait, but
yeah, I was back and forth on whether that was bait or not. I feel like there's one moment where Jordan genuinely broke through when they were fighting, but otherwise, like, yeah, I kind of wondered if Zeta let go for a second to get Clark to come to him.
I think so. I think so, personally. Okay.
Oh, there it is.
So
Jordan, where art thou? That's great.
There's some funny titles of these coming up.
That's awesome.
Did you decide on the names for these, Lisa?
Lisa did.
Yeah, because some of these are pretty amusing, especially some down at the bottom there. But we'll get to them. So we've got Uncle Morgan.
Uninvited Uncle Morgan.
Uncle Morgan. I feel like Morgan Edge's personality is kind of gone. Obviously, because he's been taken over by this Eradicator thing. I feel like if there's a weakness for this season with regards to the threat that Superman faces, I would say it's the central villain himself, because he's not really a lone player, so to speak. He's first of all, he's bending to his own father's whims.
He's a victim as much as he's a villain, which I actually kind of thought was interesting.
I did too.
I just think as far as like, you know, master manipulators, and like, he's not a Joker, he's not a Lex Luthor. He's just like, you know what I mean? It doesn't
he's not a mastermind, and it wasn't like a masterminded plan.
It's like who's more the underling of someone else's.
It was someone else. His father was the one that was dictating the plan. Well, actually, I think he came up with the plan B. Plan B didn't work out, so then his father said, "Now you have to do Plan A." Yeah.
Well, and his father was never on board for Plan B. Never. No. And so, like, he was always trying to, torture his son and manipulate his son back into that. And so, I don't know. I found it, like, I get what you're saying, Brian, and I agree. Yeah, no, he wasn't a mastermind. It wasn't like Lex Luthor, who had some sort of plan that they ended up having to foil. In some ways, he was kind of flying by the seat of his pants. But what I found compelling about that is the fact that he really didn't want to die. Like, he did not want to give himself over to the Eradicator. He did want to resurrect Krypton. He did hate humans. I mean, he is a villain, but he also just wanted family. And I loved that episode where we saw him plead with his father when Superman was revealed to the world. And he's like, please, let me bring him in on this. He's a hero. Please, I don't want to be alone anymore. And, it became more of that vengeance thing for Zeta. Like, oh, no, this is great. Let's destroy the House of L. And so, like, I like what Nicole said, like, he is both the villain and victim. Like, he didn't do anything right. He was the freaking villain. He had horrible intent. at the same time, you could kind of see that he is a slave to his father's whim. He didn't want to do it his father's way and kind of got forced into it when coming up against Earth's greatest champion.
Yep. Although he could have made a better choice, like Clark said at the end.
That line at the end when Morgan has his mind back and he's just like, all I wanted was a family. And Clark said, you had it. We were brothers. And I was like,
I was expecting Van Diesel to turn up then.
Yeah.
Family. You know there's going to be a meme of that at some point by the end of this week.
I've already done one.
Oh, man.
Oh, anytime you bring up family in movies, you just got to bring in a meme of Vin Diesel.
Next up, Sarah spots Superman and Lois. I gotta say,
is the point that I was gonna make. Whilst the cushions come into the tent with Sam there, Sarah's like got this look on her face, and she's looking at the interaction between Lois and Superman, and then you get a look on her face. It's sort of like going, that's a bit strange.
Why does Superman look so much like Clark Kent without glasses and sound like him and move like him and stand like him? Huh.
And talk to his wife like him.
Yeah.
And his whole family is involved, knows everything that's going on, and knows how to...
There must be some sort of like cogs turning there. Yeah.
There has to be. Honestly, that's something they really need to do in season 2, because for me, the biggest weakness of Superman and Lois, and it's a petty point, because I really do love this show. I think this season was absolutely fantastic. So my petty point is how stupid it is that they look at Clark and look at Superman, same haircut, same voice, same looks. The glasses don't even hide his eye collar. I don't understand the lack of connection. I don't get it. And so when Sarah sees them talking, I didn't even think about that till you brought it up, Lisa. So good job. But when Sarah sees them talking, it's like, yep, that should have been it. So season 2, they better start, putting 2 and 2 together, because it's getting kind of ridiculous for me.
Yeah. The whole Cushing, I mean... And then people in town, they see him on TV. And
yeah, when the interview later that Christine Beppo does, it's like, you must be watching that and going, oh, that looks like Clark.
That's literally going into everybody's homes in Smallville. And the Kents are known as the people who made Smallville what it is.
Right.
So you're telling me not one person there is looking at... And it's face on as well. It's a camera looking directly into his face. And he's talking. It's like, dude, ain't that Clark? Oh yeah.
So, now, if he was performing it like Christopher Reeve did, I'm down. But he's not even doing that. Clark and Superman have the exact same personality. I am struggling with that aspect.
Yeah.
So the other thing that I noticed on that note was that there was a time when Lois was by herself, and they were freaking out about the family, and everyone was leaving and stuff, and no one asked, "Where's Clark? Why isn't he helping?" Like.
Yeah. Let's keep blaming Kyle and keep throwing insults at Kyle, but Clark's nowhere to be seen during a disaster. Son of a...
The funny thing about the Cushings, I'm sure we'll talk about it more later, I'll just say it now, I can't believe how quickly not only did the town turn against them, which actually made more sense in terms of the story, but also how quickly the town forgave him. He saved one person from a burning building, and they're like, oh, it's okay that you brought Morgan Edge here. That's fine. You know what? We love you all again. Oh, Lana, you stood at the door and held it open as people ran panicked inside. You did so much for the town.
Good
Lord
job.
love you. It's like, oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it's like, hey, Kyle, you know that burning building that you just pulled that woman out of? That building wouldn't have been on fire if you hadn't Brought Morgan Edge here. So get out of town, you son.
That feels more realistic to human nature.
Yeah.
How quickly the town loved them again. I'm like, you know what? That's even more of a sign you guys need to move. If the town is that flip-floppy, like they hate you 1 second, you barely do something, and they love you the next, they're going to hate you again in another 2 seconds. Just leave.
Listen, sometimes we start these things, and then you get... it becomes like a trickle effect of criticisms, which is mostly for comedic value.
Right.
But I've got to say that actually I really enjoyed this episode.
No,
And
I did too.
I loved a lot of the character moments in it, and I did actually love the stuff they were doing with Kyle and with Lana.
Right.
Their family dynamics. I just and as well as the Kents, everything that was going on with them. I thought brilliant performances all around from everyone.
Yeah, because they made that decision, didn't they, to stay and help out and have the little hand-holding moments together. But yeah.
Well, I think part of it too was that they stayed in the crisis and they were supposed to leave.
Yeah. And I get that. I mean, and like I'll second what Brian said. The character moments, whether I think however the town should have reacted, whatever, the character moments are great. Like the town hates Kyle, and he ran into that burning building, ready to sacrifice his life to save that one soul. And I mean, that's just awesome. And so, like, they did a great job in the beginning of making you hate Kyle, but liking Kyle, and then transforming him throughout the show. And actually, what I loved is that the Cushing marriage is strong. Yeah, I thought he's going to die too, Nicole. Like, I was with you. I thought the ultimate sacrifice was coming, and it never did.
They threw that in there, though, didn't they? They framed it to look that way.
Yep.
And I was literally dreading. Like when Lana and Sarah look out the window after the explosion, and they're like, "No!" And then I was like, "No, no, no!" And then he comes walking out with a woman in his arms, and he's just like, "Yeah, go on, Kyle."
Yes.
So yeah.
Well, I also like that their marriage is stronger at the end of the season. How it started shaky in the beginning, and it felt natural. It didn't feel like it was unearned. I like that their marriage is stronger by the end of the season.
And the thing is, as well, we all know now, after years and years of watching TV shows, we all know that in a season finale, someone dies.
Yes.
It always happens. You know, it's like that's the big, who are they going to kill in the season finale? Who's, you know, and it's just, yeah. So the fact that they actually don't kill anyone.
Yeah. No, I don't think they do.
We get a season finale in which no one dies.
I know.
Which is
first I
actually
thought it was
quite
going to be
refreshing.
Kyle. Then I thought it was going to be Steele.
Oh yeah, I couldn't. I was back and forth on that when he sacrificed everything. I was like, Superman's going to get him, right? Right? I'm glad Superman did.
No,
It can't be Steele because he's got to have his own spin-off TV show.
I forgot about that.
I'm still plumbing for that. I'm still plumbing.
So, yeah.
But I didn't know if it fell through. I couldn't.
Well,
say
who knows
100%.
in this world? You know what I want? I want every other CW Arrowverse show canceled and just let Superman and Lois go forward. Let's do the Steel spinoff. I mean, and you could put Diggle in there. Let him be the sole survivor of the Arrowverse.
Bring Bruce Wayne in as well. Bring Bruce Wayne into this world.
No Batwoman, just Bruce Wayne. Let's bring him in.
I will refrain from judgment since I haven't watched the end of season 7 of Flash. I only watched the first 5 episodes, but 4 of them were awful. So.
Oh man.
I am enjoying Stargirl though, and that's.
I need to get back into it. Now. I'm like 5 episodes into season 1.
That was a mean ass sidetrack we just went into.
Oh, I know.
So come on, guys, let's bring it back.
Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back.
Back. That's the next card.
Yeah,
yes, next card. Let's do it.
So, get out of Dodge. Immediate evacuation orders given by the DoD. There is a whole thread in this with regards to whether or not the people can trust the DoD, which brings Sam Lane to the to the forefront of people's kind of shouting and screaming and calling for justice and things. How do you think he handles it? Because he's always been a bit, protect the world, protect my family, protect the world, protect my family, protect the world.
I thought he did well in balancing it this episode.
I do too.
And he did tell the truth that Morgan Edge hadn't been captured as well.
It just took I get why he didn't tell it earlier though. Like that's what I like about General Sam Lane. I get him, and they help me see it from his perspective. So like I really like this character, and I liked his conclusion at the end that he retired from the DoD to put his family first. Yeah, you know it's not going to happen, but you know what I'm saying. Like
I have some concern about that though.
What is that?
Because he has a close relationship to Superman, and he has such control over that department that he helps to have that in. You know, I mean, who knows what the next guy is going to be like?
Well,
is he
hopefully
going
they've
to have
already.
that solid relationship with Superman or not? Like, and also, he knew the secret. The new guy won't. So how is that going to affect things with the family?
Dynamic, yeah.
I think it's going to make things more difficult.
Either that, or they'll just have less crises that need the military involvement.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
all of a sudden, the military are never needed. It's just,
Oh man, yeah. No, I get what you're saying, but as a character, I just really like that because, like, that to me, that was the outcome. That was what they were building towards. Is him putting family first. He never not wanted to put his family first, but he had that responsibility as a general to protect his country and protect the world. And so it was cool to get to the end of this and see his decision now to put the focus on family and put them first.
We'll see how it goes.
so next up, hammer time.
I like that he's getting Jonathan involved again, unlike in the previous episode.
Yeah.
And Jonathan goes,
Yes.
"Oh, and these are all the weapons I borrowed off you."
Yeah. That was pretty awesome.
Weapon amnesty.
I like. I've enjoyed John Henry Irons' arc, possibly more than any other side character. Again, I like this actor. I think he does really well in this role,
Yeah.
and I liked the stuff that Nicole was just touching on in the previous episode, where he was pushing Jonathan away, because Jonathan represents everything that he lost.
Yeah.
Because he's a different son to the woman he was married to, and that's touched on it brilliantly at the end of this episode when he's talking to Lois and he gives his reasons as to why he can't stay, which I really feel for this guy. Like, I cannot imagine stepping into another world and seeing your wife, and when she looks at you, you're just some guy who, yes, has helped you out and stuff, but that's it, you're just some guy. And yet she's looking at some other dude who actually is the dude who killed her in your world, as if he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Not only that, she's got 2 sons with him. That's just like... The dude's got, seriously, like, total respect to the guy, because,
Yeah, I'd want to walk away from that too. That's just pain all the time. I mean, maybe over time you get desensitized to it, but
yeah. I mean, like, everybody's had that thing.
But, is she going to realise that Superman looks like Clark as well?
Everybody's had that thing in school where, the person you think you love, the person that you just can't stop thinking about, ends up with the douchebag. Ends up with someone that you just think, what the hell are they doing with them for? It's like, but this takes that to a whole new level, because it's not someone that you're dreaming about. It's someone you actually had, someone you had a child with, had a life with, and it's just like, so yeah, I think he shows remarkable restraint a lot of the time. So I understand his need to kind of push Jonathan away, and just say, look, just get out of my face, please. Yeah. No offense, but just get out of my face. And I think it's a big step for him in this episode when, like you say, he actually takes him a bit more on board and says, okay, the job needs doing. We can all do it if we come together. So yeah,
and I love
really
how they
this
put
guy.
a lot of trust in the sons to hold their own in this episode.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Well, especially Jonathan. Like, I couldn't be more proud of that kid. Like, he's just had...
If this was Smallville, it'd be like season 5, Jonathan Kent still like, Clark, you gotta hold back.
Yeah.
What is he? It's like, you're not ready.
Well, in
my
Smallville's defense, I mean, he's like a freshman in high school. It's
So is
after that.
Jonathan.
Yes, Jonathan and
understand.
Jordan
Yeah, but it's a little bit different having, when you have your parents' support helping you and versus just sending off your kid to go save the world.
Yeah. But I just,
not on his
I don't know.
own.
Jonathan, I'm the most proud of. Like, Jordan's fine, whatever. I mean, Jonathan was always my favorite over Jordan. Like, I always found Jonathan so much more interesting. And he'd get jealous of Jordan. He'd have a hard time with Jordan. Their world has changed, and yet he would still figure out how through that to be Jordan's brother. And so, to have possessed Jordan, lifting him up in the barn, and Jonathan's last words to him, or "I love you," before either he's going to die or Jordan's going to be rescued. It's a great scene. And so, I don't know. I love Jonathan. That dude has shouldered so much pain, so many burdens, and so many stupid people this season, especially that mean girl who took him out to the water tower, not to be nice and take him out on a date and show interest, but to, prod for answers. It's like,
I'm glad he's got rid of her. I'm glad we won't see her.
Did you miss that?
He smiles at her.
That was sarcasm, Nicole. It was sarcasm.
That's the one thing where I'm kind of sad about Jonathan. But all I can think is, if the writers are taking this time to try to insert her into this and make her kind of fishy, and she's from Central City, and if this is the Arrowverse, do you think she's a meta? Like, do you think there's something coming out of that? I'm just curious.
I didn't even think about that. That's a possibility, isn't it?
Either way, I don't trust her.
I don't trust her at all.
Even when she was giving the whole, my dad is in prison, and we came. I just thought, I don't.
See, I already forgot about that story. That's how little I care about her character. I already forgot about that story.
No, I'm not buying a word that comes out of her mouth, to be honest. Okay, next up.
She's very not trustworthy.
Not at all. So, reaching out to Jordan. So,
I'm going to say, I haven't cried in a TV show like that. I don't know how long. That scene was powerful. I think that a lot of it comes from, having my own sons. And it's just.
It was a great scene. I had one thing that confused me about it, though, so maybe you guys caught something that I didn't. And that's about the headpiece, right? I thought both had to be wearing the headpiece to be entering the memory. And then Jordan takes it off and goes and attacks Jonathan. And she's still in his head, even though he's awake and conscious and not wearing the headpiece. That was the only thing that kind of confused me, because I feel like, I guess it wasn't established for me well enough how these things work. Did I miss something that you guys caught?
I don't know. Maybe once she enters, she can stay in.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be on both of them in order to get her in there. But once she's in, it's
I mean, that would make sense.
That they used in Flash for Zod, though.
Right, one at a time. Lisa, go.
No, the device it reminded me a lot of Geordie LaForge's visor.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh.
Yeah.
Nicole, go.
No, they used it in Flash. It looks like the same prop they used for Zod to go into the mind.
Wait, Zod was in Flash?
Not Zod. The big gorilla.
Gorilla Grodd.
Oh, yeah, Gorilla Grodd.
Yeah.
Close. Zod Grodd. Yeah.
They rhyme.
Bob. Knob.
But putting that petty point aside, I agree with Nicole. I didn't cry, but I still found that scene really heavy, very emotional, and like the writing of it and the emotion of it was incredibly well done. And it was very circular. Superman flying over the atmosphere screaming, "Jordan!" until, Jordan answers because he's so desperate. Then you have that moment with Lois in his mind, and she can't get deeper and has that same desperate moment where she calls out to his name. It was so cool.
Yeah, no, the moment that really got me was when Jonathan was being held by Jordan and Lois got through to him at that point. When they went into their old, in the memory, they went into their old house. Yeah,
in the bedroom.
In the bedroom.
Where Clark and Jonathan appear at the door, and she's... And
that was it.
He doesn't believe in himself. He doesn't think that he can do it. And no, I thought, again, the actress who plays Lois Lane, I just think she nailed it, really. I think a scene like that lives and dies on the strength of, yes, the writing, but on the ability of the performers to deliver it.
Yeah.
Like, she really throws herself into it. And I think as a result, she elevates Jordan's performance. Because I got to say, there are times when I find him quite weak at times with his performance, and I think it often depends on who he's playing off, which actor he's playing off.
I can agree
kind of
with that.
Dictates how good he's going to be, and I think that scene certainly works well because of her, really, mostly.
Yeah. And that kind of goes back to what I said earlier, that probably for reasons like that, it's why I always found Jonathan far more interesting. Like, he's just consistently really good. His acting is really good. Were you snapping at a cat to get it away from you?
there's a daddy long legs fluttering about.
Oh, yeah.
He's fluttering up the wall. I hate them.
Scared of a little daddy long legs.
It's just the way the legs just brush over your face when you go flying. I'm just like, what's that all about?
I wouldn't
Get out
like
of my
that.
face.
I would have done more than snapping. I would have screamed at the top of my lungs and fell backwards in the chair. Don't like 8-legged freaks.
No. There's no reason anything should have 8 legs. Anyway, sidetracked once again. Next up.
What's the next card?
This is the card that I like. This is good. X Factor, Mark.
Nice.
He does look like he's going to go into some kind of performance there, some dance routine.
Jazz hands.
Yo! Yeah. But that's what I'm talking about. That's all he seems to do for pretty much most of this finale.
Until the last scene, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's all he's supposed to do. Because at this point, he's not himself anymore. He's a machine.
I know, but it's like somebody not being at their own birthday party. Is what it feels like. This is the guy who's been the villain for the whole season, and then we finally have the big showdown, the big party, and he's not even there for it. You know what I mean? That's I think that's what I was. It's not that I dislike the character, or that I think the characters. Right. Oh, hang on.
Daddy Longlegs, did it hit your microphone now? Is that what it did?
It's not that I think the character's weak, or that I don't like the character or anything, because I do. I just feel like he was our main villain, and then in the final showdown, he kind of gets sidelined, and he just gets to stand there glowing and doing a bit of X Factor posing.
Can I just be honest, though? He wasn't much of a character at all until he got revealed as Clark's half-brother from Krypton. And even then, he only became kind of dynamic enough for me just to be a bit more interesting, just because his backstory got more interesting. So the fact that he even lost his emotions and became the Eradicator, it didn't feel that different to me than any other point in this movie. Like, to me, he was never super charismatic. And I'm not trying to say that's negative, because I still loved how this came to an ending and a close. I'm just saying it kind of felt consistent with how I felt with the character from the beginning. So I get what you're saying. It makes perfect sense. I mean, it's the ending. You want Clark to have more of a connection to his final villain, but I feel like that connection you're talking about really happens between Jordan and Clark when he's possessed by Zeta. It's just, unfortunately, they had the dubbing slightly off, and it was kind of awkward. But it was good. I don't know. I get what you're saying, though. I can't argue against it.
Definitely
it's valid.
The weakest part of the episode was the dubbing.
Yeah.
I don't know why it was so off.
It's just like, how many, like...
Cut away from his face when he talks, at the very least. Just cut away.
It's like, they should film that scene first with the most inexperienced actor, i.e. Jordan. Let him say it in the speed and the intonation that he needs to, and then get the more experienced actor, i.e. the guy who plays the father guy, to come in a studio while the edited clips are playing in the studio and match the voice up. That's how it's normally done, and it doesn't feel like it was done that way at all. It feels like the guy who's doing the voice never even saw the clips. He just said, read these lines, do it a few different speeds, we'll make it work. We'll fix it in post.
We'll make it's just it work in front of millions of people.
Oh, yeah. Oh, lad. Okay.
I mean, it definitely didn't look like a production quality.
Yeah. It's sad, though, because I really loved the concept. I loved the whole idea of Zeta taking over Clark's son. Like, that was interesting. If they had just fixed it, and instead of hearing the former Kryptonian's voice, which didn't they do that earlier when other people were possessed by the Kryptonian? You're not hearing the Kryptonian's voice. You're hearing their voice with a slight effect on it.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they didn't carry that onward.
That
Just make it Jordan's voice and add a weird effect to it or something, but don't dub it over and not match the dubbing. Yeah.
No.
CW, you failed.
But you still did better than the other shows.
We'll move on.
Definitely did. Okay, next up, it's Dance Off Krypton Style. So, yeah, we got...
That freeze frame looks like the Power Rangers. They are standing in costumes, and I didn't look like that in the show, but just freezing it like that, I'm thinking the Power Rangers whenever they fought in the quarries. Oh my gosh! Sorry, go on.
I don't quite understand how. It seems to me like all of the Kryptonians are completely ineffectual fighters. Because, like, I gather that once these guys have been taken over, they have the powers. Well, they do. They have all the powers that a Kryptonian has. So I don't get why Superman is able to throw him around like a rag doll.
Well, it depends on what the Defense Council is, right? So it could be Defense Council, and they should have been military, and they should have been able to fight, and this is one great big blooper. Or it could have been Defense Council, as in it's a bunch of politicians who send people out to fight, but don't fight themselves, and those could be the spirits that possess. So they got powers, so they're trying their best, but Superman at this point has way more experience.
Did these people even
have like the council
their powers because they didn't have powers on Krypton? Did they come to Earth to train? They may never have had any experience.
They need to get down the dojo.
That's true.
I thought about that, and I kind of wondered, did they do a, are they trying to say a Smallville? Because that's what I liked about Smallville, the idea that they did walkabouts on Earth, and that was kind of their test, What will you do?
I don't think
if
everyone got to do that, though. I think it was only the very high council.
It could have been, but just the idea that there were Kryptonians that did do that as a rite of passage, so they actually had experience and knowledge of the Earth's yellow sun in their history. That kind of helped
to open it up too much.
Oh, I know, but but see, like that makes sense out of things like that, and so I get what you're saying.
It's just like with Man of Steel. What I loved about Man of Steel is the Kryptonians come to Earth and they struggle at first to use their powers. We see Zod struggling with it with the eyes thing. He adapts to it quite quickly
because he's military.
Because he's military. He's used to doing things like that. So I like that they touched on that. Whereas here, they just start using their powers. So we don't get a sense that it's like, oh, this is something we need to learn. We just get a sense that, nope, this is something we can do. We can do it pretty well. We can shoot fire from our eyes. It's all good. But so why are they such crap fighters?
Yeah, well, what's interesting about them is they never seem to have any personality either. They seem more like
they're unpaid
characters.
They're extras. They're just extras. I get it though.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, something.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, because they made a big deal.
I get more personality and townspeople. You know what I mean? Than these Kryptonians and townspeople are extras too.
It's just I feel like because like one of the criticisms we had of what I still think is the weakest episode of the season was Loyal Subjects.
Yeah, that was
where we had all those Kryptonians. It should have been a two-parter. It should have been like, dude, you got an army of Kryptonians coming towards you now. This is epic. This is like, there's no way out of this. How are you going to do this? And then it's like, no, it's gone. It's over. We sorted that. No trouble. I've gone up against one human guy who's put up more of a fight than that. And it's just like, oh, okay. So here again, we're bringing more Kryptonians in, and the more they do it, the more they bring like Kryptonian people. You got like 4 or 5 of them against Superman this time. The odds are against them. The more they do it, the more I start to think, well, yeah, Kryptonians aren't really a threat, are they? They're a bit lame, really. They can't fight. It's just so it's like they should be a big gun. You know what I mean? That there should be a big gun that you pull out where, holy crap, if Superman's facing off against a Kryptonian, dust is going to fly. You know what I mean? So something's going to go down, damage is going to be done. But each time they've done it so far, and they've done it twice in 15 episodes, the Kryptonians that arrive seem to be pretty ineffectual when it comes to causing damage. Except for that one badass scene where they heat vision those skyscrapers, which was pretty cool.
That was epic. That's why I like the second to last episode a little bit better than the season finale. I mean, there was just more action. You felt more of the threat. I mean, that scene where Leslie Lars is rising up to fry Lois, and it's the exact image.
That was a great scene. I loved the impact.
Whoa.
The impact of that on, because Jonathan had seen the video.
Yes.
And that was the same video. It's just it was a different Kryptonian coming up behind. So in that moment, he's thinking, "My mum's dead.
This is when she dies.
I've seen this. My mum's dead right now."
I did not know how they were going to solve it. I did not expect him when he threw the hammer to go at her either.
Yeah, and that was a badass moment as well from Steele.
I don't know how he could throw it when he can't see her. I don't know how
he's not trading off of 4.
No, but he knows, doesn't he? He knows where Lois died on his world. The same thing's happening again.
Yeah.
So he's programmed his hammer to hit that spot. So he's just like...
See, to me, that's kind of like Iron Man, where that type of programming is super vague on purpose. But whatever. It was a pretty awesome scene to have Leslie Lar nailed by that hammer and like thrown through those buildings. But like that whole
she's not
sequence.
Gonna die. I know she's not going to die. Like something.
I knew that too. Like that was predictable. She wasn't going to die, but the impact for me was still there. Just because of the imagery.
I was still like anxious about it though.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. Superman obviously can't save her right now, and Steele wasn't in a very good position at that moment either. No, he wasn't over there. I didn't even know he knew about her.
Yeah, I didn't know he knew about her either. But
don't forget, he's got his AI on board. So
that's true.
She's probably
plugged into the show, the live broadcast.
Yeah, she'd probably be tracking Lois anyway during this time, because John Henry Irons would be like, keep a fix on her.
They didn't tell us. He knew.
Times.
That was sneaky.
But it was good though. I liked that moment. I thought it was a great moment.
That was the best moment of the last.
I like how John Henry Irons is the perfect mix of Thor and Iron Man.
Yes. I like it's like when he reaches out his hand for his hammer and he's waiting for it to come.
I love it.
Okay. So next up, Brothers at Arms.
Brothers at Arms. That works. That's great.
So, I think we've already kind of touched on this. Yeah. Really, we don't really need to.
When my wife watched it, she brought up this good point, and it also makes me a little bit nervous. My wife goes, "Look, if I was evil, I would have snapped his neck. Why did the bad guy just play around with him?" And I looked at my wife and I was like, "Hold on, I'm so glad you're good."
Well,
but yeah,
she's watched Man of Steel too many times.
That happens in most movies, and I think I've come across the explanation is that they're so arrogant.
Yes,
they want to milk it, and
they
be like,
monologue.
Ha, ha.
Yeah, don't interrupt me while I'm monologuing.
It's like, this is my moment of glory, and there is nothing that can stop me. I mean, he really did think Lois was not gonna get deeper into his mind and find Jordan buried underneath. Like, he really didn't think that was gonna happen for sure.
He underestimated a mother's love.
Yep, that's right. Or a brother's love. Like I said, that was probably
I think it was
my
father's love.
There. Yeah. But that's the awesome thing about the Kent family, that they carried, since this is supposed to be a Smallville podcast, that they carried over from the show Smallville, okay? Like, you saw the strength of the Kent family unit in that show. And this is not a sequel to that. It's a whole separate universe, but they really took that theme and carried it forward. And I loved it. They did such an amazing job with that all the way to this moment here. And it's that Kent family bond that saved Jordan. Loved it. There it is.
Reunited, the Kents. Nice moment. Lovely. Great.
It was. We've talked about it. They're happy together now.
We have. and then we have, Smallville cleanup crew. Hey, the Kyle and his family are all brushing the street.
Season 2 is going to be about Lana running for mayor, right? That dirty look she gave the mayor.
She gave it, yeah.
That season 2 is going to be her running for his office.
One of the other reasons why the cushions were forgiven, it's got to be Kyle's ribs. That special recipe,
the party at the end. Good ribs do produce quite a bit of forgiveness.
And a nice bit of brisket,
Maybe
I
he's
was
descended
actually
from the
surprised
colonel
at
himself.
how much more episode was left after they defeated the
Now,
villain.
I was literally going to just touch on that. When I was sat there at this point, at the cleanup point, like from then on, I would have expected 2 more scenes maybe to wrap it up. Anyway, we get a few more after, and I instantly started thinking, Return of the King. This doesn't know how to end. I was just like, it's just like ending after end. This is the end. No, this is the end. No, this is the end. And then I was like, they've got to end on a cliffhanger because it's a season finale, but there's nowhere to go now. Everyone's happy. It's all good.
I thought there was going to be some new huge problem that came in, and then it was gonna be a cliffhanger. So I was actually a little bit on my edge of my seat, like, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
Because it was too happy.
I was like,
that's the thing. It was too happy. And I was like, everyone's like chilling and patting each other's backs and they're all eating ribs with sauce all over the face. I'm just thinking somebody's going to rock up, some new villain that we're going to have in the second season is going to rock up, toast someone. Kyle's probably going to die as he's making ribs. And it's like, and it's going to end on that cliffhanger.
And keel over dead at the party.
So I was just like, I'm like, what's going to go on? And then that ship crashes, and then the daughter.
Well, there was one part though, Brian.
I thought it was gonna be a villain, not the daughter. I was surprised.
Me too.
Yeah,
but there was one part that was semi-sad in the midst of all that happiness, and that was the funeral for Jarrell.
Yeah,
I thought that was really sad.
I did.
Got clipped out.
It was very delayed.
Yeah,
they had a lot going on.
Yeah.
I mean, he only just made it back to the fortress to even find the broken shards of the crystal. If he could just find the one piece and stick it in the dark crystal, then he could bring the... Oh, sorry, wrong movie.
I thought that he was going to find his mom's crystal because Tao
I did too. And I don't know if they've ruled it out, though, right? I don't know.
No,
Is
they
it ruled
haven't.
out? Is it possible that's something we could see in season 2?
I think we could. I mean,
let's hope so.
Who knows where it is? I was just surprised that they didn't... Yeah, they closed everything out. They didn't I didn't feel like there was anything growing. It like almost felt to me like that's the end of the show.
Yeah.
Until the last minute, and even then, I was like, "Oh, okay, his daughter."
Yeah, but I mean, I gotta say though, I like that. I like that a lot. I'm very much of the school of thought that TV shows should end each season as if it could be the last.
Yep.
Because I've seen far too many TV shows that I've been hooked on, which just get axed, and then I'm so pissed off by it because I'm like, great, I've invested 5 years of my life to just be left hanging.
Yep.
Okay, it's like
that Lois and Clark season 4 finale.
Oh, man,
it's angering.
Really angry. It's just like Studio 60, right? Lasted for 1 season. Brilliant Aaron Sorkin show. They got told 6 episodes in advance that they weren't coming back for more. So Aaron Sorkin wrapped it up with nice, neat little bow, and I loved it. It's a brilliant, self-contained thing.
Nowadays, I feel like.
Yes, but I prefer that. I think, look, have a season, have a story arc worked out for that season, have the last episode end in such a way where if it's the last, it can carry on being the last, and if it's not, then great, you've got a jumping off point.
I'm also kind of grateful we don't have, because we have a long wait until the next episode, that we don't have like a major cliffhanger. You know, I mean, this cliffhanger got me on the edge of my seat. And yeah, it'll definitely bring some interesting dynamics and conflict, and I also kind of wonder, how did she get there, and if she got there, did someone else also get there, did more of that, so that I think that could play into
Lex has got to come, hasn't he?
No,
at some point they've got to bring Lex
I don't want the Lex Luthor to be on this show.
I never said I wanted to.
Well, is he
what
Supergirl? Oh, Supergirl ended, right? So
what if
I don't know how it ended either.
What if they brought Lex into this show, but he was played by Michael Rosenbaum?
Yeah. Yes.
Not gonna
Why not
happen.
though? Right? They've
But
already.
Michael's not gonna do it.
I know he's not going to do it, but think about he's in a different universe already because the fortress in this universe doesn't look like the fortress from the CW verse.
He's not in a different universe. Okay, we have to go to the next card because it's getting late.
Okay. Right. We can actually leave it there because the cards that come after, we've already talked about those things. There's only one card that we jumped over, which is the Gazette partnership, which is Lois and
I don't
Beppo.
Yeah. We also didn't talk about the whole boys and their girls, which I didn't really care about that either.
And I don't care about that either. Okay, let me say this.
Hey, look, they kiss. Big deal. Move on.
Did you notice when she tried to nestle in his arms and he was holding her, how awkward that was? It looked like it was the most awkward thing to get her to fit nestled in his arms. And I was like, just don't use that scene. Oh my gosh, it looks so weird.
I've got to say, no, I didn't notice that.
It looked like either she was too tall for him and they're trying to make her shorter and it didn't work. It was weird looking to me.
Yeah, I can see where you got that.
Anyway, there's not much to say.
I feel nothing for those two. Like, okay, whatever.
And I like them individually. I don't really care about the Sarah Jordan relationship.
And they've already declared the love for each other as well.
Right. Final thoughts and a score out of 5.
Oh boy.
Lisa, go.
4.
Nicole?
I've enjoyed some episodes better. Yeah. As you said, no one died. You didn't get that finale feeling, you know?
What did you say, Nicole?
4.5.
4.5. Okay.
I'm gonna go with a solid 4. I agree with Lisa. There's episodes I liked better, but I thought this was a good conclusion that didn't work backwards and ruin the rest of the season. And it was really good. And my review that I'm going to put up either tomorrow or Saturday is overwhelmingly positive because just overall it was really good. But yeah.
I will also go with a 4.5 because I enjoy taking the mick out of things that, you know, these shows are fantasy. Okay.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they're fantasy. If you really wanted to be that guy, you could be that guy who just tears every scene a new hole. You know, it's just it's easy to do if you really want to. But I loved this episode. I enjoyed all the character dynamics. I loved the fact that on multiple occasions they led you to believe that somebody was going to die, but actually in the end nobody did, which was very refreshing for a season finale. I liked the fact that it did end in such a way that, you know what, I don't need to come back next season, but I've enjoyed this show so much, I will. So that shows you right there that you know the strength of the show. I really liked it. I like where it leaves us. Bring on season 2. 4.5.
I would love it if they just gave season 2 100% to HBO Max so that we know for a fact it'll never get CW'd. That's my only concern. I don't want them to CW it because Arrow was great seasons 1 and 2, and then it went downhill. And I felt the same about Flash. I even enjoyed Flash through season 3, but once we hit 4, I was gone. It's like, this is terrible. And so I just don't want this show to follow that fate.
Although I heard Supergirl was far worse, but
yes, I agree. Yeah. I quit Supergirl after season 2 and struggled through season 2.
I think it's on fairly safe ground at the moment. I think the critical reception it's had, I don't think Warner Brothers are going to want to cock that up, basically.
Yeah.
Every other show they've done.
Never know in 2021.
Yeah, that is so true. You never know.
You don't. But
we are living in the weirdest time. One of the weirdest. This time, it's just so pivotal.
It really is.
I like stability, you know, and it just feels like you just.
Our times are not stable. At least give me stable entertainment. And so far, that's what Superman and Lois has been, and I just hope it
Hopefully
stays that way.
it keeps doing it in season.
Yes.
We live in a
At least
in
we
a
always
time
have
of
Smallville. We can
extremes.
always hold on to Smallville because we know that.
Always.
We just need
Hold on,
aliens to
Smallville.
turn up now, don't we, Durban?
We need what?
We just need aliens to turn up, for real.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Well, they're already here, but that's another story.
Well,
Well, they're
after,
releasing more UFO stuff, right?
They've come to get vaccinated.
Yeah. The aliens have
How
been
many
here since
shots?
1947.
after 30 years of no mention of it, my favorite Robin character has been outed as gay in the comic books, which is like, okay, fine, whatever. Could you not just come up with a gay character? Like, do you have to hijack one that we've had for 30 years?
Which one is it? Is it Jason?
Tim Drake.
Oh, okay.
It's actually
Oh,
my
isn't that
favourite
Bruce's son, too?
Robin. No. He's no, it's not Bruce's son.
Which
but,
one's Bruce's son? I forget his name.
Dick Grayson.
Did
Dick
we have
Grayson
any
was his
comments?
son?
Did we have anyone
Interesting.
We've had a few.
A few.
drop-ins.
Mostly people saying hello.
Yeah,
So
just
hello,
people
Aaron
saying
White.
hi.
What's up, Mercenary
Hello,
X84?
Aaron.
Hey, Urbania. Oh, wait. That's me.
But yeah, so anyway,
Mary?
on that note, thank you for joining us. It's been a blast.
Damian Wayne, son of Bruce
Damien-
Wayne.
oh, Damien-
I can
oh, that's
always
the-
count
yes.
on Aaron White. He's got the knowledge.
Yes. So I always think of, because I
Got
don't
the
like
power.
Damian Wayne, because I actually hate Damian Wayne. I reject the notion of him being his son, whereas Dick Grayson is his adopted son.
Right.
So yeah, but yeah, okay. That was Superman and Lois. Now that that's over with, we will hopefully be getting back to what this podcast was built
Smallville.
for. To Smallville.
And we have to do Promise. That's
we
gonna
have to
be
do Promise. Yeah,
Because that's going to be the one where
Showdown.
we have a civil war on this channel, where Nicole and I have a firm split.
Mm-hmm.
And while we might be at each other's throats, it's going to be very entertaining for you watching.
Yeah. So until then,